Hello, this is the Summer Lyric and Lore podcast. I'm here today with my oldest friend in New Orleans, Jan Esthus Schluter. Good, welcome, Jan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So right now, Jan is in our production of Carousel, but Jan has a really long history with Summer Lyric, and I bet she came with her receipts. Do you know when your first show was?
I do. It's 1980.
Oh wow. Okay. And what was the show?
I was actually in a production of Junior Lyric Theater at the same time of Little Mary Sunshine that Anthony Latura directed. And I was just finishing my senior year in high school, and so they needed somebody to be a maid in a little night music. And so I went over there and I was a prop. I just stood, I didn't have any lines. I didn't even sing or anything. I just stood by the table and I was happy to do it. And then somehow, I guess because I did that, I was also in Damn Yankees and Annie Get Your Gun that year.
Well, they
So
say there's no small parts, only small
that's
actors.
right.
So now, you just mentioned Anthony Latura. Now, audience, you might not know his name, but you will have seen him on any number of TV shows. I think The Good Wife and various shows he's been on. And so we've had an illustrious past. Tell me about like you were mentioning to me last night in rehearsal. What was it like in those earlier days of Summer Lyric?
Well, the biggest difference, I think, the most obvious difference is that we didn't have body mics. There were no body mics. We had floor mics that were on the front of the stage. And I remember that because if you danced, you had to make sure not to kick them. And there may have been some hanging mics, but I don't remember being aware of that. Like, I just think it was just like maybe six little floor mics on the front of the stage. And
Yeah.
so everybody just projected. It was I guess like the opera, you didn't
Yeah.
you didn't need any amplification. And one of the other things that I especially remember, because I'm a choir person, is that when we sang off stage, we did not have, now if somebody sings off stage, they can see you in a video, they can see you conducting, and they can sit in another room and do it. Well, back then, we just had to stand in the wings and put our faces toward the stage because we didn't have any microphones, and just sing as loudly and beautifully as we could. And we couldn't see you. So I got to stand. I remember for Brigadoon, I was so thrilled because I got to stand in the wings and be the conductor. So I would just have to stand where I could see the orchestra conductor and follow him or her. Well, it was a him back then. It was Leland Bennett, and I would follow him and conduct everybody. And now it's just so much better because we can see you.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I think I not to dismiss any of the old productions, but I think that it was a little less sophisticated than it is now in terms of costumes and sets and things like that. I was remembering that when I was in I think it was Annie Get Your Gun, the one that starts with another opening,
Yeah. No,
another
no,
show.
that's Kiss Me Kate.
That's Kiss Me Kate. Okay. Well, so that was 1981 that I remember I brought my own costume from home and a pair of shoes. We just and then also I was a seamstress in the costume room in the summer of 81, I believe it was. And Winnie Trevilian was the costume designer, and you know, and she, I believe, built many of those shows from scratch. I
Mm.
don't think there was a big costume, uh, store
Rental? Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah, and no rental. I
No
don't remember
rentals. Yeah.
ever renting for a long, long time. Maybe in Hello Dolly we rented, and that was look, I've got that was 1986. But
Okay.
like those first like Sound of Music and Kiss Me Kate Kismet. She made all of that stuff in 3 weeks.
That's crazy.
And this might be interesting to some of you that know Michael Howard and Beverly Trask. Their mothers would come in the summer and sit and sing and be in the sewing room and just sit there together like an old quilting bee. They would hem things and mend things and take things in and stuff like that. And so they were a fixture as well.
That is so cool. Move over a little bit. That looks perfect. Yes. Okay. So, all right. What do you have a favorite show you've done at Summer Lyric?
Oh, my favorite. Uh, my favorite one that I'm sentimental about was The Sound of Music because I got to play Liesel. And it was only my second summer, and I was just over the moon being able to sing a solo.
Sure.
And I always loved that musical. But I really also loved doing 42nd Street because we got to tap so much. And that was just, Jim Miller came to direct, and he was so awesome. And so that was another favorite.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yes, I remember you telling me about Liesel, and that had to be just absolutely thrilling.
It was.
And so now we're doing another Rodgers and Hammerstein show. It's going well so far, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, I think.
Yeah. What do you it's kind of a almost an untouchable show now because of the domestic violence. But what is your take on the whole thing? Because when I wanted to do it at first because I had never done this show, either been in it or I don't even think I've ever seen the show really, but certainly not conducted it. And I was like, I really want to, get that one under my belt. And then you start reading about it, and everybody's just like, no, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And then I read the script, and I've said this on another episode, but I expected that all of her friends were just saying, oh, that's just the way life is. Just get over it, But they were not. They were like, what's going on? Did you
Right.
hit him back? Did you leave him? Whatever the case may be. So I'm like, well, this actually happens in real life. It's not as if we're just. So I think we've handled it very carefully. And so,
I do too.
what's your take on the whole thing?
Well, I'm old fashioned, so I think all this attention to people, things that trigger people and things that might be sensitive, it's a new thing for me.
Yeah.
And just in life, because before now it just would have been done, even though it was a sensitive it wasn't as what am I trying to say? When I first saw Carousel, I it just went completely over my head. I didn't I realized that I could just see that Billy was troubled, and I knew that he just couldn't he just couldn't control himself, and I felt for Julie, but I didn't think, oh gosh, this musical should not be done because
Yeah.
yeah, and it's interesting to me, like well, I was so proud during the first rehearsal. I think Melissa or somebody that was already on the podcast mentioned that you all had a person from Tulane's Title IX office came and spoke to the cast, and you and Diane spoke to us, and I felt so proud about the way you all handled that, and so just it gave me so much respect for the leadership, you and Diane and Charlie and anybody who's been on the process of deciding to do the thing. And I just think there's a way to handle it, and that because it is a real thing that happens in life, that it's important to do it.
Yeah.
Plus,
Thank you.
the music is just so beautiful.
It
How
is,
can you
yeah,
not do?
I know. I know. Actually, what you just said is reminds me of a point that I've just kind of been made aware of. So I asked a colleague of mine in musicology, so a person that's not associated with musicals per se, somebody who probably wouldn't attend a musical normally. And I said, look, this is the situation. We're trying to frame this out for the cast and the audience. So would you have a look at this musical and just give us your take on it? And this person did, read the script, watched the 90s something revival or whatever, and was deeply troubled.
Really?
Yes. This person made the point that unlike the atrocities that are done in operas toward women, and I never thought about this, when you're watching an opera, when it's something terrible, the music sounds terrible.
Uh,
Da, 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 da.
yeah, yeah.
But in this, it's just like, it's all veiled in this beauty,
Yeah, that's true.
and that's what's a
Especially,
disconnect.
yeah, last night we blocked the scene where Julie sings "What's the Use of Wondering," and that does get to me a little bit because it says, "Why worry if he's bad or good? You love him, and that's all there is." But you do need to worry if he's bad or good. You do need to
Yeah.
wonder if he's bad or good because even if you love him, you know.
If I love you, if you love him, right? Yeah, you're right. That song is very lilting, and it's got little triplet-y da 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 da
yeah.
da
It
da da.
sounds very sweet and
Yeah.
But then at the end, she breaks down. So you do know that even though she's just sung that, she knows in her heart that's not right.
Yeah. And of course, the really troubling line is at the end when the whole thing about how is it possible somebody can hit you and it doesn't even hurt or it feels like whatever it is. And then somebody reminded me for the second time about the Carole King song. He hit me and it felt like a kiss. That's
I don't know that song.
And yeah, I know. Somebody told me about it months back, and then yesterday somebody reminded me of it again. And so I'm like, of course, that would have been in the probably 60s that she wrote that song. Of course, nobody could write a song like that today, and without a lot of backlash anyway. So, yeah. We were talking last night about Little Lyric, and I know that one summer I played the piano for you for Little Lyric.
In the orchestra?
No. Well, I mean, I don't know if there was an orchestra, but I played.
No, it wasn't an orchestra, but
like maybe a couple of instruments. Yeah, it was Pocket Full of Rhymes is the one I did.
Oh, okay.
I still have the T-shirt probably somewhere.
It was just Little Lyric for lots of years, and I don't know the beginning year, but I know that I was in it in the summer of 1980, and it had been going for a few years. And Cassie Worley and Cassie Stack Worley, she was in Little Mary Sunshine as well that same summer, 1980. And then she wound up directing Junior Lyric, and that was for high school kids. And we went down, I think, probably to 8th grade. But everybody had a little sister or a little brother, and they wanted to do it too. And so-and-so's friend, and we just kept getting parents who were saying, could my kid please be in it? She's in the 7th grade, but she's so mature. And so Cassie and I sat down one summer and we were like, we need to do Little Lyric, because I was teaching at McGee, and I did the 4th grade play, and I taught elementary school, and she taught at Trinity, and she had young children too. So we weren't afraid to do a play with smaller kids. So we started Little Lyric, she and I together, and we went down at the end. We were getting even down to 1st grade, so it was like 1st through 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade, and it was good. It was really good. We did started out doing little Disney, like this was before there was a Broadway Junior,
Oh yeah.
and so I had scores and scripts at McGee for Disney things like Cinderella and Robin Hood and Jungle Book. We did those, and then we Broadway Junior came about, so we started using those scripts. And so we would have a summer with it filled up the whole summer. We had junior lyric and little lyric. And at that time, there weren't as many. Like now, every theater has summer programs for kids, and you can fill up your entire summer. Your child can, if they're a theater kid, doing show after show after show. But back then, there was not that much for kids to do that were interested in theater. So we we had a good thing going.
Yeah, for sure. We've discontinued it since the pandemic. But
Uh,
we're thinking of going back to it. But it's just a question of how, because now the market is so saturated
yeah,
with, I mean, like you said, everybody has one. And so we're just thinking about what can we do that would be different, like
all right.
some kind of different structure or some kind of different focus, or maybe there's a behind the scenes part of it too, where they
Well,
learn about
that's
tech and all that.
yeah, that's interesting because when I first did junior lyric, uh, that was a component. You were supposed to, uh, other than putting the show together, we were supposed to have classes like a dancing class or a class on voice, the voice for the musical theater. And I remember we went to the scene shop and there was this older man, do not remember his name, who had been doing the scenery, but I think for the drama department for years and years. And he showed us all the tools and, how they built things. And yeah, so that was part of it back then.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Um, before this current show, what was your last show that you did?
Uh, Sweeney Todd last summer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And before that, Big River. And
No.
before that,
Before that.
Music Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got my sequence out of
So
the order.
yeah, so I hadn't done a show since 1998, and then I did Pirates of Penzance in 2003, and then didn't do anything until Music Man 2010. So I had a bunch of breaks. But when
Yeah.
I
Okay.
first started, I would do every show every summer. For like 6 summers, I did that. I loved
Yeah. I know. I know.
it.
Pirates was it's one of my very, very favorites. And as I recall, you were going to have to do something different for that show. Tell us about it.
When Andy got sick.
Yes.
So Andy Reid was playing
Ruth.
Ruth. That's right. And she got sick. Oh, bless her heart. She got sick. I don't even remember what day it was. Maybe we had
I want to
already
say it's the
opened.
Saturday. We had already opened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had already opened, and she was just sick as a dog. And there was just a slight little talk about me um, doing the part for her, and I would have had to hold the script and just stand up there and do as much of the blocking as I knew and hold the script. But she got well, thank goodness. She had got a
Yeah.
shot or something. I think,
Yeah, she did.
yeah. And she was able to push through, and get through it. That was amazing.
Yeah. That
But I
was a
had
scary.
another story like that.
Okay.
The summer that we did Anything Goes, I'm looking at my list, 1987. I wasn't going to do, I wasn't doing Anything Goes. And I was working actually for JPAS. I was the secretary at JPAS. And Beverly Trask called me and she said, Jan, we, Jim Miller was directing. And she said, one of the four dancers, Mona, it's Mona. And then she has the four ladies that, I can't forget what they call
Uh,
them.
the Angels?
Yeah. The
No.
four
Is that right?
angels.
Yeah.
I think so. And
Okay.
one of the girls who was playing one of the angels got an equity show in Florida or something like that, and she left. Like they had just opened. I think they had opening night on Thursday, and she left on Friday or something like that. And so they wanted to know if I would come up there and learn the role. And I was like, yes, I'll save the day. And so I went up to school, and Beverly and I spent the whole day. It was like maybe the night before and the whole next day with her trying to teach me as much as she could of the dancing, because you had to dance to be that person. And I didn't really have many lines. I just had to learn the dances. And that night, I think that first night, the girl that was playing the role was still there. So I stood in the wings and just watched her and like tried to do as much as I could in the wings. And then the next night I went on, saved the day.
How did it go?
It was great. One of the dances that was really, really complicated, the way we solved that problem is I went over, Jamie Riley was in the chorus, and he was kind of standing in the front by the orchestra, and I went over and pretended to flirt with him and teach him the dance moves while they went over and did the big dance, because it was too much
Smart.
for me to learn. So,
What was the song during that?
uh, oh shoot. Not Blow Gabriel. Blow
Oh, could have
Gabriel?
been. Probably, yeah. That's a hard one.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Can't
Who
remember.
played Reno? Did you already say that?
No. It was Jim's wife.
Oh, Marsha.
Yeah, Marsha Miller.
I've never worked with her. I don't think I've ever actually met her in person. I don't think. But anyway, I've heard she's dynamite.
Oh, they were a great couple. They still are. But she was, yeah, she was. I remember we did the version where they sang "Let's Misbehave,"
Yeah.
and Mr. Howard, Michael Howard, was the person, and she and Michael did "Let's Misbehave," and it was just to die for. Perfect performance of that role, of those roles. And Alton Gino was
The gangster, right?
yes,
Yeah.
and he sang "Be Like the Bluebird."
Yes, yes.
And the first time I ever experienced the show stopping, like everybody just would not stop clapping, just clapping and clapping. And he would try to break it, and they would just still keep on clapping and keep on clapping. It was amazing. It happened
Yeah.
more than one night too.
Yeah. The first time I conducted Anything Goes, I think Alton was in that role.
Was he?
I'm pretty sure. Or we're not talking about the same production. No, it wouldn't be the same.
It was
No, it wasn't,
no,
no.
because I didn't know you yet. I did it
Okay.
in '87.
Yeah.
'87. That was before we met.
So yeah, that is before we met. Now you said "Let's Misbehave." That song has been cut from the show now.
I know.
Yeah, but that's a great song.
Yeah, we did that. Whatever that version was, that's the version that they picked. It also doesn't have "Buddy Beware." That's not.
Oh, it does. It does. Yeah,
That's the one that it does have it.
it does have it. Yeah, and that was a really popular one. This last time we did it last summer, and that was people loved that number because all the
Did you
boys.
do Misbehaving? I mean, did you do Let's Misbehave?
No,
No.
they don't.
Yeah.
That got wiped out of at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, what else because we're approaching 30 minutes. What else did you want to talk about that I haven't asked you or we haven't talked about?
You mentioned last night we were trying to think of what we were talking about, and you mentioned that you might bring up Michael Howard. And I just wanted to say that when I went to Newcomb, he was the choir director there, and he did what you do now.
But listener, Newcomb and Tulane, it's a long story, but it's basically Tulane Music Department.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, I call it Newcomb because it's sentimental to me.
Of
but
course.
Anyway, so he was the choir director. So that's how I first knew him, as a choir director, not as a musical theater person. Although quickly I did learned that side of him. And I was thinking of he taught me a lot of things, but one of the things was about how important the chorus is to a musical, and that it's not just fluff, and he, I think sometimes the choral parts were more exciting to him than even the solos were, than even the lead people were. And
That's
he
true of
spent,
me for sure.
yeah, and he spent so much time, uh, getting us to clarify our diction, getting the cutoffs and the entrances, and he would, just talked about how, uh, even if you're on the back row, like the back row of the chorus, as far back as you can be behind 8 rows of people, that you're responsible for singing beautifully, getting the cutoffs and the entrances, having good diction, having energy in your whole body, not just singing, but just, involving your entire body and having good facial expression and your movement. You don't just, you know, fling your arms up, you put them up, it's everything you did in the chorus should be to the fullest,
Yeah.
and and we didn't sing. We were never, when I've been in a two-lane show, in a summer lyric show, have we ever uh, just belted out the chorus in unison with no beauty. It's
Yeah.
always been almost like a choir, like a choral group,
Yeah.
and singing in beautiful harmony and not too loud and not too soft. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
You just really refined the choral stuff, and that really made an impression on me because I'm a choir director and turned out to do a lot of those things with my choirs. So
Yeah.
I really uh, value those lessons that he taught. He was a
Yeah.
stickler.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And that's a great metaphor for life in a way. It's everybody has an important job to do,
Mm,
and we can't get caught up in, well, I don't have any lines to say, or I didn't get have a solo to sing. But yeah, I agree with him that, I mean, not, it's not about agreeing, but the chorus is my favorite part of the show. I don't even make it, and it's not even a secret. That's the thing I really live for, is just the chorus. And that's why in this show, we were talking about it, I was disappointed that there weren't more harmonies written in.
yeah,
And I looked at the old score and they weren't there
they are.
either. It's very bizarre that this show doesn't have more harmony. It
Yeah,
does
for
have a
my.
little bit, but
Uh,
not not enough to my liking. Well, Jan, I think we can leave it there.
okay.
Thank you for doing this. It'll be out on Thursday, I believe.
All right. You're welcome.